Yo, I'm literally in the bathroom, y'all. I got glue on the front of my lace front, okay? This is cute, ain't it? The color just matches my skin. 2020. Alright? But I was in the bathroom, right? Don't focus on the lace, y'all. It got to glue some. It's got to glue. It's got to, this glue got to dry some more. And so, anyways, y'all, it is 4:44 in the morning. Let me screenshot it. It is 4:44 in the morning. And, I'm sitting here and I was watching somebody on TikTok and they was talking about like the skin and stuff like that and like DNA activation and all this stuff, right? And being your authentic self. And I said to myself, why is it that everybody is allowed to become and be their authentic self, but the people who really have the golden messages, who's trying to deliver those messages, are that we are being thwarted and blocked in every way? And I mean, we're being blocked all the way down to like, even if we try to create something else, it would get blocked. And I know I'm not the only one. But I put out a couple of messages on one of these platforms, and I noticed that the messages was being blocked. Then I created another page, and it said on that page, RH negative horror stories, right? And I didn't even, because I'm RH negative, and I didn't even get to put the messages out. Yeah, I went to start recording videos, but I hadn't put them together, and the videos that I was creating was being deleted out of my phone, out of my personal phone. When I was going back into to create these videos and to edit them, to upload them, all my videos was missing. Then I go into my email, because with every platform you create, you have to have an email for it. And so I said, well, I want to start fresh. And I went inside of my email. This email been in there for about 2 weeks, and do you know that the email is deleted? The page is still up there, but the email is deleted. And when I looked up at the top of the page, the email was all mumbled and jumbled up to something else. And then I recorded a video about a dream that I had, and the video is completely deleted. And so it's crazy to me how everything that I'm doing is being thwarted, and you have to start asking yourself why. And you got people that sit up there that has been doing things to you, as well as your family, friends, ex-lovers, and all these things, trying to stop you. And they have been putting false information out, right? Not just about me. It's a message for all of us who actually have the word, who's actually connected, who God actually is speaking through. They are trying to block us, and then they're putting false prophets in the front. And I said, why is everybody else allowed to be authentic and be their authentic self, but they are stopping the true ones from being their authentic self? And it just came to my mind because, like I said, the video I was watching, the guy was talking about like how he had skin issues and stuff like that when he was holding all this trauma. And once he began to release his trauma, he noticed that his skin and stuff started to, like, he was having outbreaks, but they were clearing. And I said, dang, all these different people could speak on this type of stuff, but why are they blocking us real ones, us? Why are they blocking us? Then they are sending people out to follow us and stuff like that. And what they do is they do all these things, so they create like a nervousness, a jitteriness in you, a paranoid state. So when you go to speak, everybody will think that something wrong with your mental. And so it's okay. I want to tell y'all, it's okay to tell y'all stories, even though they're going to block them from getting out. But when you do so, make sure you are calm. Make sure that you are in peace, right? Make sure you go into prayer and meditation, because a lot of these people who have done things to you, even higher entities, are trying to stop us at any given possible way. And so another page that I created, it was just about clothes. And I noticed on that video, my analytics, the numbers have been switched 4 different times, right? This is something that I can prove. The numbers, I noticed that the numbers started going up really fast. As soon as I put the video on there, the numbers of the viewers started going up really fast. And right in my face, like I can see the glitching in my face, right? Without even having to see the glitching, right? I can tell that it was glitching without even seeing it glitch. And I'm like, somebody's stopping my stuff, and they're stopping my stuff right now. What is this? Somebody was going in, messing with my stuff. But who had the power to go with inside of your video, halt that video to stop it from getting out, and then going in there switching your numbers 3 to 4 different times, setting your stuff up, moving your stuff around? And the time that I posted this video was, I like to stay up. I'm a person that stay up all night, right? I'm an all-nighter. I've been like that since I've been little. You know, God did it that way for a reason for me, and a lot of it was training since I've been a little kid with praying and things of that nature, right? And so it has to be somebody in a powerful position to be going in there doing that. Somebody who was up watching you 24/7, like you are their job, right? Stop her from putting these things out there. Stop her from doing this. And see, understand that there is a higher entity, and then this higher entity get your family, your friends, your ex-lovers, who people you to cut off, and and even the person that you are currently dating, a lot of them be involved. And see, you got to understand that when you have been done wrong since you came out of the womb, and higher entities have been involved, CSB and all that type of stuff, right? Because I was like adopted slash foster slash whatever, right? Like I had got taken in, and the people I got taken in by, they was horrible, right? Horrific. But you can't blame those people. You have to blame the higher entity, which is the children's services. And see, we got that going on, and then we getting older, and see, we got special DNA, and see, we got people studying the DNA. We got people doing this and doing that, right? We got mad scientists. We got all these weirdos. What else can we say? We treated her wrong throughout her pregnancy. We got neglect there. We got this. We got that, right? I do believe that my son passed away due to neglect, right? From them not doing their job. And I don't even think that it was about them doing their job. I feel like they was using me as a lab rat because of my DNA and sitting back like, oh, let's see what happened type of thing. Because when I look back over it and I kept telling my OB, like I was swelling up really bad and all this stuff, then she had completely ignored it. Oh, everything's fine. And I remember after I had my son, the guy said, oh, it's normal. That's normal. And I looked up at him and I said, why do y'all keep saying everything is normal? Ain't nothing normal about what's going on, right? But see, when they're using you as a lab rat, this is the type of thing. But see, another thing is, I have been through so much, and so many higher entities and so many people was in the involvement of this thing that they don't want me speaking on this. But at the end of the day, like I said to somebody else that I was talking to, if they would have had just left me the fuck alone, I would have never even said nothing, right? You know it's bad when when God rides you up out your slumber, right? Your 3D, to force you to pay attention when the behavior of people is so bad that it forces you to pay attention. And see, I have to watch what I say on this here because they try to find anything to flag your stuff. And so all the way down to, I was trying to do like chalk videos. They kept flagging that stuff and all this weird stuff. And I kept saying, why every time I'm being thwarted from the left to the right, from the right to the left, right? On everything. Everything is being stopped every time I go up in the forefront. But everybody else can do them. Everybody else can be their authentic self. And so that's how you know when there's higher entities involved. Yesterday, I went to the grocery store, right? I'm going to say this and I'm getting off here so I can finish drying my lace and stuff. I got to get myself ready for work. A lot of places that I go into, even all the way up to my workplace, everywhere that I go into is being infiltrated. All the way down to me leaving out going to the grocery store. Yes. And so I'm going to tell this story really quick. I got multiple other stories, but it's so much missing to them. I don't even know how I'm going to put them together, but I'm going to pray about it and see how God going to have me to do this thing. But I left out of my house yesterday. And I went to the grocery store, and I took my dog with me, right? I went to grab me a coffee. When I left him grabbing me a coffee, the grocery store is right behind the coffee shop. So I went on ahead and went to the grocery store. I said, forget it, I'm just going to grab me a couple things. And so I go over to the grocery store. This is a name brand grocery store, right? A big grocery store. And as I grab my dog out of the car, put a little liner in there, because I don't like to put my dog inside of the cart. You know, people got to put their food in there. So I put a liner inside there for my dog, get my dog out of the car, and put her in the cart. Grab my purse and everything, shut the car off, and we walking, doing normal people stuff, walking into the grocery store. As I'm walking into the grocery store, two women come from out of nowhere. These look like older women. The one lady looked like she had kind of like cat glasses on or whatever, which was strange to me because I always wear the cat glasses. I love them. I even got my work glasses that shield my eyes. They're cat glasses. I got a dog on my cover. This is on my couch. I got a little blankie cover over here, and look what kind of glasses is on the dog. It is the cat glasses. And so when I turn around and I see the two women, the only reason why I paid attention to them, excuse me for a second, Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, I ask that I'm going to bind, block, and destroy anything that is trying to take over my tongue and stop me from speaking in the name of Jesus right now. I ask that it be removed immediately. Because I noticed this is not how I talk, and I noticed that I'm kind of tripping over my words, and I'm trying to find the words, and that's not how I talk. And so, no, to get from under this couch. My dog up under the couch just thumping around. What you into? Get from under this couch. And so, she purposely tried to ram her cart into mine. I don't think that she was going to hit my cart, but she wanted me to think that she was going to hit the cart so I could go, startle me, right? And so, I turn around, I look at her, and I just smiled, and I said, oh my God, excuse me. Excuse us, excuse you, excuse me, excuse us all. But she was with somebody. But when I turn around and I look, the first thing I noticed is that she had the cat glasses on with the point, like the dog, the big cat glasses, right? This is the glasses that I wear. And so I kind of turned around and I looked at her like, that's strange, right? But I left. I didn't think nothing of it. And I went on here and walked in the grocery store. When I went into the, walked into the grocery store, I walked in, and when I walked in, I went to the right of the grocery store, and I looked by the fruit for a second, and I said to myself, but kind of out loud, I said, I just come back to this, right? It was too many deals over there, right? I get stuck in the deals. I said, I just gotta come back to this, right? I gotta get what I came here to get and go. And so, as I'm thinking to myself, and I'm multiplying what I want to do and subtracting what I don't want to do and whatever, my people call me, and I have my earbud in, so I click the earbud, and I'm talking to them, and they ask me, what am I doing, where you at, and all this stuff, and I'm talking to them, and I walking through, right, and I'm going over by the meat, and as I'm walking by the meat, in my own space, I got more than enough room around me, these two women went to run their cart into me again, inside of the grocery store, right? The first time it happened, it was outside the grocery store as I'm walking in, by the door, and the next time they did it, I was over by the meat, and she went to take her cart and try to ram it into me again. But I knew she wasn't going to hit my cart, and I turn around and I look at her, and something in me said, don't feel no type of way about it. Do not release any energy. Don't release sadness, happiness, none of it. Don't release any energy. This is what my inner being said. Don't release any energy of it. Just keep going. And so I breathed in, gave me a quick breath, and went on here about my business and act like she wasn't even there. And so as I'm walking, I keep on walking. I see these two ladies kind of following me. And when I just stopped my car, and I turned around and I completely faced them and looked at both of them, right? And they went on here and went down the aisle and went their own way. Then I noticed a woman and a man looked like they was couples, and they kind of looked like they was goth. I see them begin to troll up behind me. See, this is what I'm talking about. The behavior is so weird, irate, and ironic, so crazy and out of this world that it forces you to pay attention, right? And I'm a person that when I go in places, I never really pay. I be in my own world. I'm going to go. I'm coming in here to get what I'm coming to get, and that's what it is. And I'm so in my zone to the point where I've been on the phone with one of my family members, and they got on me like, what is you doing? You on the phone, you talking to me, you talking about you in the store, and then I'm listening to you. You really zoned out into your own little world. Like, I know you ain't paying attention to your surroundings. And they got on me about it, right? And so that's what really initially forced me to be like, okay, you got to look left and look right, right? Like, I'm into what I'm into. I don't care about nobody around me. And so I don't walk in fear. I've never been a person to walk in fear. And so, and another thing as well is that I've been walking around like that my whole life, and I've been all right. And so I'm going to stop and say this as well. Sometimes when people bring things to your attention, it's not always a good thing. Because God been shielding and protecting me this far. I don't need nobody bringing that to my attention, right? And the reason why I say that is because I was on the phone with somebody one day, another person in my family, and they was telling me about how somebody had put them up on game to what was happening around them. And as this person was talking, I started to notice the energy shift, the conversation shifted, just everything has shifted, but it was not in a good way. And so this thing went on for months when this person would call me and talk about what they seen, what's going on around them, right? And they never paid attention to it until this person had brought it to their attention. And so I told them one day after this went on for a while, and this person kept calling me, telling me about this, what was going on around them. I said, you saying that old girl put you on to what was going on around you. I said, you felt like she was looking out because of the way she presented it. I said, I'm not going to take that away from her. I said, but at the same time, I said, everybody don't mean you well when they bring things to your attention. I said, look how long you've been over in that area and how everything been working out for you and going in your favor. You never had to watch your back. You always, God always carried you and had you, and you've been all right. And I said, and since this person brought this to your attention, all you do is look around you and talk about they. And so that is not a good thing all the time, right? And so that's why I'm saying what I'm saying now. But anyways, let me get back to what was going on. So I'm walking, and these people's behavior was so out of this world. They didn't even have a cart. They wandering around the store. They're trotting behind me, and it forced me to pay attention. And in the corner of my eye, I don't even know how the hell I seen them. Like Granny said, I got eyes in the back of my head. I got eyes in the back of my head. Hey, with my head down to the sun. What? But anyways, I got stuck for a second, y'all. I went there. But as I'm walking, somehow I seen them. I never looked back. I know that. But I seen them, right? It's like my peripheral, but my peripheral stretch a little bit further than the average person. And like I said, when you got something and you've been having a certain gift for so long, you think it's normal, right? And I didn't even notice that until I began to talk. But somehow I seen them. And something pulled me to turn back and to look in the back of me. And so I kept seeing people moving in the back of me now. I'm looking forward, minding my business, and and it might have been a feel, but I can see them too as well. Like, out of my peripheral, but I couldn't see them. Y'all don't ask me. But anyways, I just stopped what I was doing, and I turned around and kind of act like I was getting something to turn around and see what it was that what these people was doing in the back of me and who it was in the back of me. And so I went on here and leaned down like I'm grabbing my meat, and I kind of turned my head like, you know, what's going on? Why y'all keep trotting behind me? Y'all been following behind me for a minute. And if I'm not mistaken, before them women had tried to run into me the second time, I mean, like, she took her car. I'm walking straight, and they're trying to come into me like this. What are you doing? With all this space, what are you doing, right? And so they was purposely doing it, as well as the people that was following me was purposely following me. And see, what God brought to my attention, he was showing me the, what is that just passed, the 8-8 portal or something like that? These people are witches and warlocks, and they're running up trying to get these responses out of you to siphon the energy. And I noticed that these two that was in the back of me kept whispering to each other, kept whispering. I didn't give a damn what they was talking about, but I'm still paying attention now because y'all are walking in the back of me too long. And so what I did was I began to open up my mouth, and I started to pray out loud, and I started to call on the Holy Spirit out loud, and I started to call on Archangel Michael out loud, because we're going to war right now, because they're in the back of me doing this whispering and these chants and all this crazy stuff. And so now I got to sort the energy, because you ain't about to play with me. And if you bold enough to be following me doing this, then I'm going to be bold enough to start saying prayers, right? Then I end up seeing two women walking together who was coupled. They began to follow, and I began to start praying, and they went on about their way. They hurry up, and them two hurry up and darted away from me. I began to pray, but I started to pray very low at first, and I noticed that they start like kind of like they was fighting something. They didn't even know what they was fighting, right? Don't run up on me with that. You hear me? Don't run down on me. I'm going to run up on you. But they got to following me. They started to follow me. I mean, this is outrageously done. This is like to the point where you cannot ignore it. If you in the store and you're minding your business, like I said, I'm a person that I zone out in what it is that I'm doing. And if your behavior and what you're doing is that irate that I got to pay attention to you, I got to start praying. And so I began to open up my mouth, and I began to call on God. I began to call on the Holy Spirit. I began to call on my ancestors. I began to call on my angels, right? And specifically Archangel Michael. And I told him it is time for war. I said, these people, I got chills. These people are in the back of me following me and trying to rage war. They're trying to connect cords. They're trying to siphon energy. They're trying to steal. I don't give one of them, nobody in the store, outside this store, known and unknown, seen and unseen, permission to pull from me and siphon from me anyway. If they don't give none of them permission to be attaching to me, and if any and one of them try to stick a cord to me to try to siphon from me, Holy Spirit, kill him in his store. Take them out. Show them who you are in the name of Jesus. And I seen them two people begin to rock back and forth. Like, you know how like you and somebody walking towards each other, and y'all, when y'all get close to each other, it's like, we going left or I'm going right. I'm going, oh girl, let me go this way, girl. We done. You know how you do that thing when you in front of somebody and you start dribbling the ball because y'all both in each other way like that. That's what I seen them doing when I began to pray. And so, when y'all out here and y'all seeing these things, don't get fearful. Don't get paranoid. Don't be talking about some what's that. Don't let off no energy, right? I don't care if it's being mad, being frustrated, whatever it is. Do not let it. Because if you see somebody doing that, you will start getting frustrated a little bit. And that is all energy. And that's why that woman was trying to run that cart into me. Them people follow me. They were trying to do it to frustrate me. I turn around and do da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And so another thing that happened to me this past week, coming up to this 8-8 portal, and it's been full moons. Here where I'm at, it's been full moons. I don't know what it, because it's too much going on. So it'd be a half a moon over there, a crescent moon over here, and a full moon here. You just can't trust it no more. And so it's been these full moons. But the day before the 8-8 portal, something so crazy happened to me at work. I only been on my job for about a month now. And the guy walks up to me, this Mexican guy walks up to me, right? Old, teeth all chipped up, look like he been chewing on rocks, smoking that rock. And it was me and this young kid working shoulder to shoulder next to each other, feeding the parts into the machine. And so me being kind of newer and the machine really ain't been up like that, he was back there kind of helping me out, which was fine. And so me and him was kind of chatting back and forth. He's young, so I'm feeding him a little bit of knowledge. His girlfriend worked there. She's very insecure and trifling. And so, I kind of like try to feed him a little bit of knowledge on how to move, because he said some things that bother me. He was like, when you in a relationship, you just got to give and try to make them happy. And, it's about, I said, no, that ain't how that go. That is not how they go. That's not how they go, right? And I just fed him some information, some good information. And where's his mama at? Shit. Woo, just thought about it. Dang. Anyways, as me and him standing there talking, coming up off of our last break, this Mexican guy, who we don't talk, we don't know this man like that, he don't know, he been there as much as, probably, I think that kid been there for about 4 years, he told me. That man probably been there before. Let me tell you something. Do you know, as I'm recording this video, this stuff just shut off. This let you know how stuff is being controlled. And so anyways, I was saying that this young kid, I was talking to him about different things. And nothing major, you know, just keeping small talk going because we bored and we both feeding it and whatever, right? Feeding the machine. And so this Mexican guy walks up in between me and this young kid. And this is the day before the 8-8 portal. Walks up, going into the 8-8 portal. But I hadn't thought about this until I got home and I figured out what was actually going on. And of course, you know, that was all plotted and planned and arranged and set up and all that type of things for a reaction. And so 111 on my microwave, that's crazy. And so I started on 444, look up to 111. But 1011, but it's still 111. But anyways, he walks up in between me and this young kid. I thought that maybe the young kid knew him or something. And I also thought that maybe they sent him over to help us because he's not even supposed to be in this area. He was completely all the way out of his area. And so when I first seen him down at the other end, I thought that maybe they sent him over to help us out, right? But even if they did send him over to help us out, he wasn't supposed to be back there with us, me and the young kid. So he walks up, and when he walks up, like I said, me and the kid is shoulder to shoulder feeding this machine. He comes and barges way up in between me and the young kid, and I turn around and kind of look at him. I'm like, what the hell, right? I said to myself, like, I thought maybe the young kid knew him because the young kid said he had been there for like 4 years. The young kid was there for 4 years. So, and I'm assuming that the other guy who walked up in between us, this Mexican guy, that looked like he chewed on rocks with front teeth is half shaved off. I figured maybe he might have been there a little bit longer and they knew each other. And so when he walked up in between us, I didn't think too much about it, but I was still like, why are you in my space, right? You're in my space. You ain't got no business being in my space. In my personal space. And so invade the boundaries. Couldn't get it out. But he walked up in between us. He pulled up his phone where me and the both kids can see it. And on the phone it said, when you pay your friend to say the word. But at first I couldn't read it that good because he got the lighting on the phone kind of dim. As well as, you know, you can't hear it because it's kind of loud in here. So I kept and I wasn't understanding. My brain was braining. My mind was trying to mind. My soul was trying to soul. My spirit was trying to spirit. And my intuition was trying to pick up, right? And so the discernment was trying to kick in on what the fuck he doing. And so anyways, this dude, so when I turn around, I'm looking at him, he was telling me, like, read it like that, like telling me to read his phone. And so I'm like, I'm not getting it, right? And so I'm trying to lean down and hear it. And I'm like, what is you talking about, right? And he like, nigga. And I'm like, what? What you just come up to me and say? And he knew he was wrong. So he up and darted off. So I began to talk to the young kid. The young kid heard him. He like, what? Like, what the hell, right? He kept saying, I'm about to go say something to him. So I said, no, don't say nothing to him. So his girlfriend walks up. And when his girlfriend walks up, he began to tell his girlfriend about what he just walked up and said. And so I'm verifying to this, I'm verifying to the girlfriend, because she's supposed to be the team lead, right? I'm verifying to the girlfriend that her boyfriend is telling the truth. I'm like, yeah, he did just walk up and say that dude out of line, right? And she like, well, you know, this is a person that's very unprofessional, very nasty, very trifling, very underhanded, very tactful, very jealous, very insecure, right? We dealing with one of those, copycatting and all that type of stuff. So, and she done said some out of the way things as well, but not enough to bother me or get up under my skin because hoes will be hoes, right? And so, unhealedness is a projection in itself. Insecurity is a projection in itself. When somebody's insecure, it's just a projection in itself. And so, anyways, y'all got to get off here because I got to go ahead and pack my lunch and cut this lace. And so, anyways, as he's telling her what's going on, not verified, she like, oh, so, you know, maybe what you think we should do? Should we, because maybe I can go in the office and maybe we should go in the office and da-da-da-da-da. That's how she talking. And da-da-da-da-da, because maybe we should see if we can do this or maybe we should do that. And sitting there just playing games. And I said, girl, whatever, your man called you over here, right? Get up, go on, get away from me. I just stopped talking and I just kept working. And so he turned, when she walked away, she walked back up to the front. She must have went and told the supervisor because the supervisor who was taking over for my supervisor, because my actual supervisor for that shift was off. And so she ran and I'm assuming that she ran and told the supervisor because out of nowhere the supervisor was over there. And so I think he was trying to flag him down to pull him up out of there before something could be said. And so, and I'm going to tell y'all here in a minute why I feel like he was coming to get him to try to act like that's not what it was, right? I believe that was a big scheme, right? When everybody know about what you got coming to you before you do, you know, stuff these start getting plotted, planned, schemed, and all kind of stuff. And so I'm assuming that a lot of people in there, because it's a smaller business, that there are related to somebody that's related to somebody that's related to somebody, the whole place. And so, remember if I told y'all what it said on his phone, but on his phone it said when you pay your friend to say the word for you. But I kept telling him, I'm not, what is, I mean, pay him, what is you talking about? I'm like, I can't hear nothing, what is you showing us? And he just bust out and said, nigga. So I'm like, this dude, wow, right? So fast forward, the girlfriend walks up in the front, then she walked back past him, went to go in the back. But when she was in the front, her boyfriend kept saying to me, he's younger, he's only like 22 or 23 or something like that. So he like, man, maybe I should just say something to him and just be a man about it and try to, let him know that wasn't cool what he just did. Like, maybe I think I'm just gonna say something to him. And I said, hell no, don't say nothing to him. I said, he an energy vampire. Right? I kept saying, I said, that nigga's an energy vampire. Don't say nothing to him. I said, that's right there about to cost you. I said, don't do that, right? Because sometimes it don't go the way he said. Well, I said, why don't you just go tell the supervisor on our shift? He was like, he related to people. His people work on first shift and all this. So I said, I don't care about none of that. He was like, I'm just gonna go say something to him. I said, don't do that. So I called his girlfriend. She went to walk back past, and I said, hey, he went to walk up there. He's going to go say something to him. And I'm trying to get her to stop him from saying something to that dude before it get out of control. And so I called her, and I said, hey, dude, you need to get your people because he told me I want to go say something to that dude. And I said, that motherfucker can eat out my ass with a straw. I'm not responding to him, right? He got to go on somewhere. And so she says, well, I don't know. He's not going to say anything. I said, I'm telling you that he's walking over there to say something to him, whatever. But she's sitting up there prolonging because she got her phone out record me as I'm telling her what her boyfriend trying to go do, right? Just being slick. She got caught. And I caught her out right in her face. And so I said, you know what? I said, this is how we going to handle this. Since you ain't listening, since you want to be drama-phobe, since you jealous and insecure, since you in here plot, planning, and scheming, and you ain't doing what you supposed to be doing with your stinking coochie ass, smell like that lady said. What's her name? She said they out here smell like turtle tank in between their legs because that's what she smelled like. And so she's I turned around and I went and got the supervisor. When I went to go get the supervisor, he was already in our area trying to call him over there, which I knew he was doing. He said it out his mouth. So I said, hey, you gotta get your dude, man. You gotta get your people. Now it's multiple people in this area. So how would you know who I was talking about? The supervisor. How he knew who I was talking about? He was like, yeah, I'm over here to grab him right now. I'm over here grabbing right now. He's not supposed to be over here. I'm over here getting right now like that. But what you over there getting for, right? Because she went in that office and told you what was going on. But I don't even believe she had to say too much of nothing. I believe that they always involved in this thing. And see, when you dealing with stuff like that, this is, a lot of times when you deal with stuff like that, like my granddad told me, my first job I ever got, my granddad always told me, when I got my first job, I remember I was on my way. He was dropping me off to my first job I ever got in my life. And he dropped me off. And when I was getting out of the car, I had one leg hanging out of the car and one leg still in the car. And he said, hey, before you get out this car, I just want to let you know something. Because my granddad's very stubborn, and he ain't going to tell you I'm proud of you. He don't really say stuff like that. He said, let me tell you something. I see you got your first job and everything and stuff. And, I'm just going to let you know before you go off in there. Because I got the wisdom. And the more I teach you, the dumber I get. He used to always say that to me. The more I teach you, the dumber I get. Right? He said, when you go into jobs, because you don't know nothing about this stuff yet, so I got to tell you about what they do and how they move. You got a couple minutes. You ain't going to be late. My granddad was a person, he gave me to work early, right? He said, I'm going to tell you something about these folks. Ain't none of them your friend. None of them your friend. And see, what you don't do, you don't speak politics, you don't speak religion, and you don't talk about sports because sports is just as bad as religion. You understand me? You hear? You hear? And I said, yeah. And whatever they pay you, you don't tell nobody else because there's always somebody gonna ask you what you start off with and how much they start. He said, you don't tell them people none of that stuff. And see, when you work at the job long enough, whether it be here or anywhere else, you hear me? If you got a car and you go buy you a new car, if you can, you keep driving that old car to work and you don't tell them about your house, you don't take them to your house, and you don't fraternize with the people because soon as they see you doing good and as soon as they see you coming up, as soon as they see you get a new car, whatever it is, you ain't even got to have no car, they see you go get a hoopty. He said, they see that you know how to utilize your money, and a lot of those people don't know how to utilize their money, and so they will try to find a way to cost you your job because they don't want you being able to build off of what you earn. That's most people, most places. I ain't saying it's everybody, but most people. I don't care if it's the owner. I don't care. And let me tell you something. Them words stuck with me my whole life since my first job ever. And let me tell you something. If he ain't never been right, he been right. That was one thing I can tell you. That it been down, right? And I got stories to back it up, child. But anyways, he said, now you go in there and you a good day. You go to work, you keep your head down, and you mind your business. And don't let them people be talking to you. Don't let them people be asking you your business. It ain't none of their business because they all nosy. And sure enough, when I got in that place, when I started working, sure enough, I hit that door. And as they was training me, a girl walked up to me and wanted to know how much I was making, how much they started me off with, and all kind of stuff. Everything he said, I got out that car. She began to go. And she was younger than me. And so anyway, at that time, I was already younger. She was younger than me. And so them are the laws I stand on, right? Them like commandments right there. He read out his own commandments. And so them need to go down in history. You hear me? But anyways, let me speed back up. And let me turn back around. I forgot where I was going with this, but it's okay. Because that must need to come out for somebody. But he went on ahead and got that man. And they called the young kid back there, I guess, in the office first. I didn't even know he was gone because I was doing something else. And once he came, the supervisor came, then it came and got me and asked me again what was said after I had already told him what was said, what that man had did. Right, as soon as I seen him and I walked up to him and I said, you got to get your boy. Then I proceeded to tell him what he did. After that, I guess they went on ahead and removed him. He was still there, but they removed him out of the area. And then they took me in the office. He said, you got to come in the office because it's got to be, I guess he wanted me to tell the other supervisor, I don't know if they had to have a faithful witness or whatever. So I went in there and I just told him, I left it simple. I said, he put out his phone, he did X, Y, and Z. And then he said, if he followed up with these words, right? And I said, I was kind of shocked. It threw me off. And so the other guy, they kind of just looking at each other doing all this. Because the kid went in there and lied and said he didn't hear anything. But the reason why the kid lied, and they knew why he lied, when I went back out there, the kid said, I told him I didn't hear anything. I said, but why did you tell them that? You didn't have to lie. But he did tell me that they had fired him before. And so basically he was kind of like hanging on thin wires with the fact of he had already told me that the dude who came up to us and said that one of his people worked it on first shift and they was up in higher management. And so I said, that's why he felt like he can get away with it. That's why I said, because trust me, when he just did that, for one, that was very plotted out. That was targeted. He plotted, planned that. He been sitting on that. He couldn't wait to do it. Right? That's why every time I came to work, he was holding that door. And I told somebody who I would talk to on the phone when I was going before I would go to work. I said, this dude always stand at the door. I said, I could be the last one walking in, and he would stand out there and sit on that table and then hurt and act like he grabbing the door for me. He was already waiting for the perfect opportunity to do that. They been doing that to people, and people been getting removed because of that dude. But see, you got the right one with me. You got the right one with me. And so I don't care about none of that. See, a lot of people that's going to go tell. And so, anyways, let me go back here for a second. They was both looking back and forth in the office, and like I was telling a lie. They knew I wasn't lying. Come on now. They knew I wasn't lying, but they went and played games. They thought they was going to play on this thing. And so when I got home, I told my people about what happened, and they like, what the hell? And they was like, I don't know if I said, they going to have to say something to upper management. He said, they might not though. I said, no, that ain't something you keep from upper management. That got to go to the upper people, period. And so that ain't something that you play with. And so so the next day when I went into work, they called me into the front office, and lo and behold, the two head guys was in there, and they said, they playing games in my face like they do what they do, and he said, now could you tell us, because I heard everything and this, that, and the other, but could you go over what happened? And I just told him, it ain't no big, it wasn't no big event. The thing was that dude walked up to me, and when he walked up to me, he showed a video, and I couldn't really understand the video, and I went to lean down to see if I could hear what it was saying, because I couldn't hear what the hell it was saying, but I was confused why he was over there. So my mind was trying to figure out why he was even over there, and then I'm trying to figure out what he trying to show me and him, but I didn't know if he was over there for me or him, so I was still in confusion all the way around the board, right? I don't know this dude for real. And so, y'all look. And so they like, well, we just want to get some things straightened out. And ain't nothing to get straightened out. He walked up to me and he said, nigga, period. I don't give a fuck what video he was showing. None of it. That's what it is. And so he said, well, the kid said he didn't hear it. I said, yes, he did. I said, yes, he did. I said, he said he was scared to say something. He told me out his own mouth that he was scared to say something. He had already been fired before, right? And they try to say, because, he just really don't like drama and stuff like that. I didn't tell them that he told me he was fired. He had been fired before, but I did let them know. I said, no, he heard him. He heard him. And they kind of like just chuckled. They was like, yeah, that's just him. That's just how he is. But that wasn't how he was. I'm telling y'all that that's not how it was. That kid told me that man had people working on first shift that was in upper management, and that he was basically didn't want to get involved because of how connected he was to somebody on the first shift management, and whatever. And but I ain't kneeling down, bowing down. I don't care about no job and none of that. What's going on, right? I can tell y'all what happened and what's going on, right? And I said he stopped and told his girlfriend as well, who's a team leader, who still did not handle it. and still ain't handling it. And so you can coach them or however y'all need to coach them to do this thing. I don't care. You can release me today. I'm going to pat my feet together. I don't care. Y'all are disrespectful. The way you're handling it is disrespectful. And they sit there and they kept apologizing. You know, we apologize. That ain't enough. It ain't enough. They asking me questions about how do I know him. I said, I don't know. No, I don't know him. No. Well, do you know him? And if I knew him, didn't know him, it does not matter. It does not excuse him from doing what he did and saying what he said. You ain't seen me joking with that man or nothing. And I said, no. He held the door open for me a couple times, right? Purposely, right? We know that. Because people like that, they don't just do something out of the blue. He was plotting and planning that. They been doing that to people. Like my granddad always tell me, when you go into somewhere, that's what I was saying when I brought up my granddad. When you go into a place, when a person like that, people like that, they already in the workplace. People like that, they already there, right? They already on their last leg. They already been a problem, but they not going to let you know that they already been a problem. They not going to let you know that they already had the same issue out of a person. This type of person ain't came up to me, this individual with his chip teeth, ugly ass, did not walk up to me and pick me out of a hat to come and do that too. He been doing it, he been getting away with it. And y'all been removing other people, the people who ain't the problem, because y'all don't want to handle the issue at hand, which is him. That man told, that little boy said, because he connected. I said, I'm connected to God. I'm connected to Yahweh. That's what I'm connected. I'm connected to them angels and them ancestors. That's who I'm connected to. Turned dead around and said it to him. I don't care who he connected to. I said, that's a person that's trying to ruin somebody. That's somebody trying to ruin. I said, if I was the owner, I would have walked him out of here like a dog. You hear me? I would have walked him like a dog about my place. I said, let me tell you something. I said, if I own a business, I don't care if it's my mama, my daddy, my sister, my brother, my cousin, my auntie, and I put them in a higher position, and I put them in a higher position, and they connected to somebody that's in a lower position to them, but they really connected, I wouldn't give a damn. If that person do something like that or anything out of this world that can cost me, I said, I'm going to take that personal. I don't care who they is to me. I don't care who they is to me. Because at that point, you saying F me and you want to see my business fail. Whether I don't feel like it's a big thing what you said or not, them are still derogatory remarks that will cost me my business. And so you don't care about me, you don't care about my business, and you don't care about nothing I'm doing here. You don't care about my money, you don't care about the fact that I'm trying to build something here so we can all stay afloat. You don't care nothing about me, and so you gotta go, and whoever connected to you gotta go as well. It ain't about black and white. It ain't about nothing. It's about what you are doing to me at that point as an owner of a company and what I stand for. And a lot of times owners to companies be connected to other things. And so you trying to ruin everything I got going on. No, you're not. I'm not going to let nobody ruin me like that. So crazy is I'm thinking about it, right? The day I went to, I think it was my second week there or my third week there. I've only been there for 4 weeks now. But I want to say, we only work 4 10-hour shifts. That's it. And I want to say, I think it was a week before that, I was leaving out and I catch a Lyft and stuff back and forth. And so Lyft or Uber or whatever. I catch it back and forth to work. And so the one day I walked out of work, he said, he said something about giving me a ride home. I said, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. See, and I hadn't even thought about it until like, I want to say that following week when he all of a sudden kept holding the door, right? Which was this past week when he was holding the door. He was holding the door before the end, but I didn't know him, so I wasn't even paying him no attention, right? I just be jotting in, go clock in and keep it moving. But for some strange reason this week, his behavior was so weird that it started making me pay attention with I came in like maybe about 5 minutes before, and then I would go clock in and I go stand out in the front or whatever until the bell about to ring, because we got a bell that ring. And so I stand out there until like maybe a minute or two before the bell about to ring, but I would notice that he would be sitting on the table, and when he was sitting on that table, he would wait until I was about to walk in, and he would hurry up and jump up in front of me and go and grab the door. And so that's what kind of made me kind of like pay attention to him just a little bit. I'm like, what the hell's something wrong with his behavior, right? And then he said something out of his mouth one of the days I was walking in. He said, he grabbed the door for me, and I said, oh man, thank you so much, right? But I said thank you like that because he waited so long till I actually walked in. I was all the way far back, and I'm expecting him to go ahead and go on in. No, he waited and held that door open until I was about to go in. And so when I walked up and I finally got in the door, I said, oh man, you ain't have to do that. You ain't have to stand there and wait like that. Thank you. He was like, oh, anything for you like that. And I said, oh, okay, thank you, right? And I just kept moving and went on here, clocked in. And I was already clocked in, went on here and, walked on in. And so, it was things leading up to that, but a lot of times you don't pay attention to those things until that bigger thing happen, and then it make you reflect on the other weird behavior that I was seeing. And what's so crazy, like even we got little picnic tables and stuff outside. I don't eat in the kitchen. I go outside and sit at the picnic table. And what I noticed is I never really seen him sitting at the picnic table. And lately following this past week, he been going out there to the picnic table, right? And so I smoke, so I don't like to sit right in front of the door. The other picnic table was full, so that day I had to sit at the picnic table with him, but the picnic table was a nice size. But as I was sitting there, he was on the phone talking to his wife. I was eating some spaghetti. As I'm sitting there eating my spaghetti, he was on the phone with his wife, and he said something about, what the hell did he do? He says, oh, I like spaghetti. My wife make me spaghetti for my birthday every year, like that. And I said, oh, that's nice. I said, you must really like spaghetti, right? He was like, yeah, I love it, like that. And I said, oh, okay. And that was really it. We really didn't have too much conversation like that. I think maybe small talk, maybe something about the birds or the sky or the weather or something like that. Something where I wouldn't be able to remember, but I know it was like, hey man, the weather might have been messed up, or like, it's getting hot out here. Or something, he might have said it's hot, and I said, yeah, I bring my fan in every day, or, very, very small talk. It's muggy, I don't like, I can deal with the sun, but I think I remember saying something like I can deal with the sun and the heat, but I can't deal with the mugginess, when it be muggy all outside and the air be thick. I said, I don't like that. I think I said something like that to him, but it was like very, very small talk, nothing major. And so, after he did that incident, which I want to say was that same day, it was things leading up to that, very minor things leading up to that, where, like I said, with the over waiting, holding the door, coming outside all of a sudden eating, all this little weird stuff. But at the time, I didn't really think too much in it. He was waiting on an opportunity to get in there and strike. And what a time to do it before that 8-8 portal come in. And like I said, these are energy vampires. Soon as he did it, and that kid kind of like, I'm gonna go say something, because after he said it, he walked straight away. Like, he didn't stand around, he said it, and I'm like, what the hell? And he walked straight away. And so the kid kind of like jumped, like, what the hell, right? And I think his brain was trying to process what was going on. Right? He like, that the fuck? I don't even know if I want to say I hear it or I didn't hear it. What the hell? He heard it, though. Even if he tried to act like he didn't hear it at first, he heard it. And so when I said what I said, like, this dude crazy. He heard it. That's why he went to go say something to him. You're not going to say nothing to nobody that you ain't hear nothing off of somebody else's word. Believe that. So he heard that dude, and he was such like, damn, I don't even know how I'm supposed to deal with this. He done already been fired before, brought back to the job. He already, he felt like he probably on his last leg, like, forget it. Right? I'm just going to say something to him. But I figured that's a grown man. You a child. He going to overpower you. His aim is to be overpowering and bearing and to siphon energy as well anyways, right? We know an energy vampire when we see one. And as well as a control freak, as well as a coward, a person who is taking advantage of someone else's position, not even theirs, someone else's. But another thing that was crazy to me, what else was it? Y'all about to say something. I forgot what I was about to say. Like I said, too, he offered me that week before to take me home, and I told him no. He was trying to he was looking for the opportunity to strike. But what's even crazier is, like, I feel bad for the owner. That's who I feel bad for. A lot of these workplaces that I have been into, I feel, except for one, it's been 2 places I went to and I didn't feel bad for the owners. I did not feel, I said, they got everything they got coming to them, boy. Because they was actually involved in the things at hand inside of the places. I dealt with an owner going out to my car, putting on my door handle and everything, y'all. I done been somewhere where people have some very crazy energy, some very demonic, nasty energy, the owners to places. And they actually use the minions. Because I said to myself, what would make these people feel so bold to be working in a company, doing the things that they're doing? Y'all, the last job I worked in, they was unscrewing, I was working on the forklift, y'all. They was unscrewing the wheels. They was unscrewing the forks, hoping that when I go to grab something, it fell. And what's crazy is that one of the people who was involved, I was still on it, y'all. I'm grabbing my stuff, right? I seen what they did. I had to pray. And I told Archangel Michael, just hold it together. God, hold it together. I know what they did. And hold the whole forklift together. And do you know that they kept jumping on, out of everybody forklift, they kept jumping on mine. Like, if I go on break, I come back, somebody on my stuff. Just being ignorant, right? One response. And I wouldn't respond to it. And one of the guys who was involved in it, right? And I would watch them watch me as I'm driving and hoping something was going to fall apart. But I knew nothing going to fall apart because I got God, honey. Ain't nothing falling apart on me, baby. And I'm going to work this bad boy all day. And I'm flinging it. You hear me? I'm sitting sideways. Boys in the sitting sideways, bitch. You ain't nothing falling apart on me. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now, how about them apples? And so, one of the dudes who was involved in unscrewing my stuff, one of the supervisors, jumped on my stuff, went to grab the thing, right? Went to go grab something up in the air, and all of it fell apart on him. Had me sitting there like, ooh, that almost bust your head, right? Y'all, it ain't funny. But you see how, well, if she can do anything she can do, I can do it better. That was their behavior up in there, boy. I done been in some places. I got some stories for y'all, boy. I got some stories for y'all. I got some stories that make you go, wow, like, no, that ain't happened. She lying. I'm telling you, you had to be there to believe me. I mean, straight creeps. I mean, motherfuckers sitting next to your car, look like they putting air tags in under the car, straight weirdos. Some of y'all daddies and y'all uncles is weirdos, man. Some of y'all should fear y'all daddies and y'all uncles. For what I get to see in the workplace when it comes to them. I said, man, I remember I was talking to somebody on the phone and I was telling them about the behavior I was noticing at the last place I was. The person I was on the phone with was like, I was like, damn. I said, man, I was telling them all the stuff I was seeing with these people, man. And I said, man, I wonder if they wife and they kids know what type of person is. Like, I said, I feel sorry for their wife and their kids. Like, they don't even know, like, their husbands is cowards. They don't even know that their husbands is pedophiles. They don't even know that their husbands is creeps, right? Like, for what I got to see, I said, man, I don't want to be around them. I'm scared to get married. I'm scared, y'all. I'm scared. I'm scared. You don't know the person you lay next to, right? And the person I was on the phone with was like, them motherfucking hoes know they married those cowards. Every time I was having that bad day, I called this person. And they always had something slick to say out their mouth. I said, what? I said, I don't think they know. He was like, they cowards too, just like them. Hoe ass niggas. They be the same one at the workplace, trying to cost somebody their job, sitting up there abusing their authority. You know, that South Park style, respect my authority. Yo, the last place I left, when I finally left there, I just walked out. I got tired of them. They were so trifling up in there. Man, I walked out. I said, Lord, may the force be with me. Do you know they were trying to stop me from getting other jobs? The one lady called me and told me, because I'm like, why does job never call me back? She said that they talked about me so motherfucking bad that she was scared to call me back. And she said what's crazy is that she knew they was lying. Like, it was that bad. And she said, they're not even supposed to do that, right? And I said, well, I told her what it was or whatever. She still offered me the position and everything. But it was just crazy. I had to call her back and see what was going on because I ain't never had that issue. And that's what was going on. God had revealed to me what was going on and why it was taking so long for people to call back. Yo, they were so mad I left there, right? Bad habits. They got bad habits. They was mad. And so, it ain't my fault. You got the same 24 hours in a day like I do, right? But one of the supervisors, the same supervisor that was a problem, why did me and my people catch this motherfucker, this supervisor rolling past my house after I left this place? Yes. And they did it for months. Got them all on the cameras. They don't even know. They on candy camera. I said, damn, should I go down there and file a charge on this motherfucker, right? And so, y'all, the stories I got for y'all asses, you gonna be like, you lying, you're telling a damn lie. But, trustingly, you me, I'm gonna say this and I'm getting off of here. They ain't picked you out of a crowd to come for. They ain't picked you out of a crowd to mess with. They ain't picked you out of a crowd inside of a workplace to walk up to you and call you a nigga. Or to be joking like that or nothing, and they are a different culture than you. You understand? And so, I'm about to get on off of here. It is 6 in the morning. The lace done dried a lot, but I still got a little white patches here and there. And so this was going to have to be, y'all. I'm going to tie her down. I got to cut the lace off and tie her down. She cute, though, ain't she? Giving bounce. She cute, though, ain't she? Nah. I'm going to do a little side part, do a little flip bang, do a little swoop, And I got to sit out my work clothes, y'all, if they even call me back. Because, you know, when something like that happens, instead of them dealing with it, a lot of times they'll let you work for about a week after and then tell you you no longer need it. You're no longer needed. You're just not working out. Yo, do you know, on Friday, I got off of work a little early. And Thursday. I got off of work Thursday a little bit early. And I stopped somewhere, then I ended up going to Walmart. And while I ended up seeing one of my coworkers from my last job, talking about they was up there with their son, they about to go camping and all this stuff, right? And I talked to him for a minute, but the Holy Spirit said that's not what's going on. He is a spy. He's an international spy. He was standing up there like, let's send him in to see if she got us on camera. Send him in to see, because, you know, we didn't pay her last check, and then when she went in there to cash out the 401k that we sent her and told her that she was forced to cash out, they went in there and switched my account number, right? And thank God I caught it. And I know exactly who did it. That's what's even crazier. Because it was this one supervisor that I told, I said, I'm dyslexic, right? He'd tell me to go grab a bin. He'd be like, go grab this bin. And he would purposely give me the wrong number. And then I'll just sit there and play stupid with it. Because sometimes you don't feed off it, just sit there and laugh and just play stupid. I said, oh, damn, I must have seen that number backwards, because you know I'm dyslexic, right? I say stuff like that to him. But he would purposely give it to me, and then I'll play on him. You're not playing on me, right? And I said, okay, I'll go grab that, right? And then, so when I left there, he went inside of the computer and switched my numbers, right? Switched the numbers behind it, right? If I could have wrote a note in that mug, boy, they would have had a mouthful. Ooh, Woo! I would have put called his name out and everything. Had him in there running around. And they stayed on the cameras watching me. Zoomed straight in. Be calling me in the office, all in my mouth, right? Be calling me in the office, stalking me on the cameras. And then one day he called me in the office. He said, did you feel like? And da-da-da-da. I said, who told you that? I said, people be cowards nowadays. If they heard it or if this, that, and the other, why they put me in the middle of it? Why they couldn't just say how they felt? Don't put me in the middle of nothing, right? They were so mad because they kept coming up to me different of those things. They was coming up to me and they would say little stuff, right? Knowing they felt a certain type of way, or they would try to put it like it's somebody else. And I'd be like, well, whoever that is a straight coward, because they always lied to somebody it was somebody else, right? But it was actually them. And so I'm about to sit up in your face and play with you. Because you ain't about to sit in my face and play with me. They be like, oh, what do you feel about such and such and such? Because, the one person said, whoop de woo. And how do you feel about this? And how do you feel about that? It was an Uncle Tom, right? And I was like, he a straight coward, man. Don't you think that person a coward? Don't you think that shit? Motherfucker walk away bitter as fuck. Fucking bitch. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna see to it. Y'all, I park over on the left. Here they come parking on the left. I park over on the right. Here they come parking on the right. Yo, and then they was playing so much black magic. It was dead birds all around the job. It was rolling tumbleweeds. All kind of crazy stuff. I started seeing crows, like 4 or 5 crows, like bad omen. But it was somebody in there doing a lot of stuff. And so I'm almost 100% sure that company is going to go down. And the way that they're going to go down is about to be something serious, right? The one lady in there, she was doing something crazy. Her husband went home and blew his damn head off. I told her to repent. She had mocked God. She mocked God. She mocked God. And I told her right in her face, I said, you better repent. I said, you ain't got to do it in front of me. And none of that. I said, but you need to repent. You need to go ask God for his forgiveness. I said, you need to get in your car. And when you on your way home, I don't care. You better whisper it. I don't care if you whisper it. You better ask God for his forgiveness. And she went in there and told everybody, ooh, she said, I better repent. Ooh, mocking God again. Let me eat my starch. It went bang bang. He blew his hair right off his damn shoulders. And the Holy Spirit told me that they was planning something while I was seeing all these dead birds around the job. And I went in there and got the one dude, the one supervisor, and I said, come here. I said, look at this dead bird outside. And he was like, something, but we ain't had no trees or nothing out there. And I said, come on now. I said, somebody sit that there. And that happened 3 different times. I don't care what nobody say. I don't speak on nobody's situation, but I believe she has something to do with it because my grandfather was passing away around that time. And a family member of mine, he was in the hospital, very ill, internally ill. He's 72 though. But they made me try to turn in all this paperwork showing that he had adopted me. I had to run down here, run down there. Around that time, somebody else family member passed away. They didn't have to provide no type of proof, right? They were just doing a lot of false stuff, right? And I didn't have to deal with this type of stuff a lot of places I done went to, almost everywhere. And I said, God, why do I got to deal with this type of stuff? What is going on, right? What is going on? Why I got to deal with this everywhere I'm going? Jesus. Everywhere I go, I see the same hoes. Hey, just in different masks. Period. That's the song for it. Just wearing a different mask. Everywhere I go, everywhere I see the same house. Right. But anyways, y'all. She said something. My people called me and told me that I had to get up to the hospital because my granddad breathing had changed. Right. He was about to go. He was leaving, and so he was leaving here. He was leaving this rim, and so I went and let them know, but I was back there grabbing a bin, and this lady was working back there in this department, and she had walked up to me and told me about, she spread her business all throughout the job. Like, everybody knew what was going on, right? But when I went back there one day, she was like, she said something about, they had got into it and all this stuff because they both was working there at the job, and eventually he ran into something. He was drinking and stuff. He ran into something. They sent him out for a test, and he didn't want to be there anyway. Shit. Period. Point blank. He wanted to be working with her. She was you just get tired of your spouse, and it's like, oh my God. At that point, I thought he did it on purpose. Like, I just gotta get away from her. I gotta find a way away. And especially when you're doing spiritual things, and it's caused a backfire. It was a really bad. I knew it was a backfire. And I had told somebody in there I was real cool with. I'm still cool with them. I said, they playing a spell word, and I said that shit about to backfire. They knew when I said what I said, it was golden, right? They like, ooh, I remember she used to try to walk up to this person and talk to them. That person would take off running like, oh, I ain't, you in here mocking God. She done told you now, right? It was one person though, that was my people that I fucked with heavy, and he was like, one thing about it is I ain't mocking God. I ain't doing it. He said, I don't care what they talking about, the bullying they doing, the grouping up they doing. He said, I ain't playing. I'm not mocking God. I ain't playing like that. He said, she ain't coming around me. And as soon as he said out his mouth, she tried to walk up because, you know, every time somebody would see me talking to him, all of a sudden they would want to go run up to him and start talking to him. He'd be looking at me like, oh my God. Oh my God. But you came over here talking. Here they come, trying to figure out what you was talking about to me. And so he would always tell me, like, you know, soon as they got to talking about what you talking about and all these, like, I don't even tell them nothing. He said, we talking about weather and all this, right? He said, just to get him away from me. He said, but that day, when I told him, I said, about the mocking the guy stuff, he said, she did what? Man, she tried to come over there and talk to that dude. That dude took off. He took off. He told her, no, I got something to do. They calling me on the radio. I got to go. Like, and he walked back up to me later on that day when he was on his way to lunch. And he said, man, she tried to come over there and talk to me after we got done from talking. He said, man, she ain't coming by me. I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that, Raph. He said, that stuff for real. He said, I believe in God. He said, now one thing about it, I ain't mocking God and I ain't playing like that. And I don't know what she on. He said, you know, they don't take it seriously. He said, you know what, we was raised in church, right? Because I knew him before then, right? I knew him from the hood. So he was like, you know, we was raised in church. We might have did our own thing. We might have, you know, did this. We might have seen a little bit. He said, but I ain't mocking no God, right? He like, I ain't doing that. She better get away from me. She got to go. She can't come around me, period. And this was an older lady with missing teeth in the front. And so it's always the ones. It's them always the ones, right? I'm noticing a pattern here. And so I'm noticing a pattern here. But anyways, y'all, you know, my whole time off of work, God took care of me. I saved up me a couple dollars, and I was on vacation. I was okay. God had my back. And so, I gotta get this lace off of here. I gotta lay down. If the sun is coming up, baby, I'm panicking. But, y'all got to go. I love y'all. I gotta finish cutting this lace off and doing this blending and getting this white cast out of here and all this extra stuff. And I gotta put my nails on and my Gel X and you know, just have me a little bit of me time and quiet time. I love y'all. It was something else I was saying. Once I go through the video, I might think of it and create something else off of something and ad-lib a little bit off of this and all that, off of that. And so I love you guys. I gotta go. I'll be back later on, maybe. I don't know. But it was something else I was saying, and it's bothering me because I can't remember what it was. Oh, I said I believe that she has something to do with it because right before this family member called me to tell me my granddad's breath was changing and I had to leave work right away, she had said something out of her mouth that was very foul. She said, yeah, me and him got into it, and I don't deal with nobody. I'm in therapy, and I blow his mother. She said that she was going to blow, you know, the dome off. And so it was ironic to me that, because I think that was like a Thursday or something that I left, if I'm not mistaken. And then I was off that Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday passed when I came back to work on Monday or Tuesday, one of those days when I came back to work. Somebody had told me that he was gone and that he had, you know, self-deleted. And I said, what? And they said that they told me to wait, and I said, oh my God. I said, oh my God. And I said, But what's so crazy, because when she came up to me and was telling me how they was arguing and stuff, I said, you know, you just got to ignore it. Just keep going to therapy. You know, don't let it get to you. Because she was saying that they was going to be, you know, getting divorced and all this stuff. I said, you know, you just can't, you know, just still respect the relationship no matter what. Respect the marriage no matter what. And, you know, he's going through something as well. He's got things he's battling. And so just be patient. And she was like, well, he was just hollering at me. I don't do nobody hollering at me. I said, but you just remove yourself. You know, just trying to give her encouraging words. And so it was ironic to me that she said that. And then I come back to work and they said that that's what that happened. And so there needs to be an investigation. I don't care what nobody say. I'm pretty sure that there will be. And I remember she tried to come to me after the situation. She really wasn't talking to nobody like that. But she tried to talk to me after the situation, and she said, I tried to go pick up his things, and they wouldn't let me do it, and they treat me like this, and they treat me like that, right? And I said, well, they're going to treat you like that because at this point you're really a suspect, but they can't prove it. And I said, so you got to work with them. If you ain't did nothing, you ain't got nothing to worry about, right? They can prove that, right? It's angles. They got detectives who's very, very good at their jobs, and so he's got to work with them because, you know, his mom, his dad going to be upset. Everybody's going to be upset about what's going on right now. And so just work with them, you know. Don't take it personal that they're not letting you come grab his things. Just, you know. And anyways, you guys, don't, my God, don't play these games. And please, to any other cultures, do not walk up to your coworker and call them the N-word. Don't do it. Even if somebody else is putting you up to do it, or if that's the plot and the plan. And see, another thing I believe is that man, they was all involved in this setup towards me to get me removed. But including the person who took off for today, I don't believe that it's I don't I do believe, I don't feel like it was a coincidence that my actual supervisor took off for those days and they tried it on this particular day. I do believe that multiple people was in the involvement of this setup, and it was set up for that person to be off of work. It was set up for this, it was set up for that, so it can look like it was very that situation was very staged, all the way down to the person I went and told. It was very staged. And so I don't know why people think that people, it's 555 on my thing, but I don't know why people think that they can do things and then think that you ain't gonna know. But see, where they get it twisted at is because you look like, right? And so since you look like, they feel like they can get over, but there's not, you gotta, like my granddad always told me, before you get somewhere, it's already a problem. Certain people are already a problem. Certain incidents and things been going on since before you came. And so I do believe in divine timing. And so I don't believe that it was by a coincidence that I was there at that time, date, and all these things been going on, all the places I could have been and went and worked for. This was the place that I ended up at, and this thing happened to me, and barely of me being there a month, right? This was something that was already being staged, and multiple people was in this thing being staged. And so, another thing too, what I kept noticing is that the one girl, I was like, she tried to, my second week there, the guy, no, it was my third week there, he asked me if I want to go home early or something, this supervisor, my actual supervisor. And I said, yeah, but he asked me other times too before. And the last time he asked me if I want to go home early, he wanted me to fill out this slip. And on the slip, I made sure to put on there, because I'm like, well, that's ironic that he never had me fill out a slip before. And so he wanted me to fill out that slip to make it look like, right, these are setups, to make it look like I took off work, or I needed this time off work, so they can have these points against me. And so I made sure to write on the slip, was asked if I wanted to leave early. I was asked by the supervisor such and such if I wanted to leave early. And so they couldn't get me that way. And so they went further into planning, and I believe that's why he took off of work. This was fully staged. But see, a lot of these people feel like, because you look like this, right? You got a big booty, you're this, and you're black, and you're da-da-da-da-da. They think you slow, but they don't know that you actually tapped into the divine. You actually high priest, and you actually divine, and you actually chosen, and God used you for this thing. And so a lot of people inside of this place that's connected to other people as well. And so another thing that they try to do as well, on this same day that this happened, when this man walked up to me this past week and said that out of his mouth, the girl came up to me and she said, oh, you want to fill out one of these, which is a slip for the time off, but it's also a slip for you to put in time, like on the Thursdays. We don't work on Friday, so on Thursday when we're about to leave, a lot of people put in time to cover for that time that they letting us off early for. And so I'm not hired in, I go through a temp service. And so the same supervisor who I said was off, his daughter walked up to me and was like, oh, do you want to fill out one of these slips or something? I said, girl, why would I fill out one of those slips? I'm not hired in. I can't fill out that slip to get no time put in. I don't got no extra time. But she was sitting in my face playing. But these people are literally off. You can look at them and tell that they off mentally. And they sit in your face playing with you. Really? Really? And so, like I said, this is a very thought out thing before they're pushing this thing up front. And they keep trying it and trying it and trying it. And so they came all these different angles, and since that didn't work, they used him to flat out come up and do that. But they didn't know that I was going to go straight up. They was expecting for me to turn around and and what. They was expecting for me to do all that. And no, you didn't. No, you didn't. They was expecting for me to do that. So if I would have responded like that, then I would have been getting carried out, and you need to go this way. And then they called in the tent service saying she can no longer come back. And see, when everybody know about what somebody else got for you, they go to work. But these people don't even want the places, the positions, the nothing. But they don't want you to have it because it's you, right? And one of the things that I know the daughter said to me, and this is how I know that they know something going on when it comes to me, because I'm an excellent worker. When I go work, I work, honey. And so I don't F around. And so when you got these good work ethics and you look a certain type of way and people are insecure and they don't like themselves and, things of that nature, they see you and you a mirror, right? You just show, a lot of us carry sunny dispositions. And so when we come in and we dressed and we smelling good and why you look like that? Why you got that on? Why you da-da-da-da-da? Why? And all that type of stuff, right? they're projecting out how they feel. And a lot of us, when we step in, we so sure of ourselves. A lot of people shrink down, and a lot of these people group up and they become bullies, right? Still 111 on the clock, 12:11. What happened? Okay, I had to flip back around. I was trying to show it. 12:12. For some reason, it's not going to the back one. 12:12. But anyway, is it showing? My video yesterday, so I'm gonna finish it up real quick. I was saying that this supervisor's daughter wanted me to fill out this slip, but she knew that I can't fill out this slip because I'm not hired in. The only time I would fill out that slip is if I need time off, and you got to put it in the day before. So for her to know that I was through a temp and trying to have me fill out this slip, they were still trying to be slick in the movement, like I wasn't going to catch what it was that they was doing and how they were trying to operate, like I'm putting in all this time that I need off. That's how they were trying to stage that thing, and I kept catching them in it. And so since that one worked, they upped the ante, and the guy who was in the involvement, who they used to walk up to me and say that, he was tired of the waiting and the planning, so he went out of his way to do this thing, right? And so, y'all, I'm about to get off of here. I love y'all, and I'll be back with another one. And this is the glasses I'm talking about. These are my work glasses, and these are the glasses where the people who are following me around, she had on some just like these. And so you gotta watch out and you gotta pay attention. Don't walk in fear, right? But you walk by faith and sight, and you still protect yourself. But I love you guys, and I'll be back with another one.